Well, hello, ladies.
Hi.
I am here with my beautiful friends, Her Time. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Go ahead and start.
My name is Daisy.
I'm Jeanette.
And I'm Rosalind.
And I'm Regina, and we are here with Her Time. We started this about a year ago. It's been about a year. Mm-hmm. And it was the ingenious idea of our friend Daisy that God placed in her heart that we needed to just have a place to talk and enjoy each other's friendship and Zoom, but also to allow for people to have a glimpse into our friendship and maybe learn what it's like to be part of a godly friendship, to know conversations and to be able to come together and just partake of a friendship, you know, and hopefully what you learn with us, you can take to your friendships and grow with them as well. So this is what we're doing. We'd love to hear from you. We have our email. It's hertimefortalk@gmail.com. hertimefortalk@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you have any comments, you can, post them down here at the YouTube video, or you can email them if they're more private, or if you have ideas, or if they're criticism. We can take some constructive criticism too, Yeah.
We don't want to hear that. No, I'm just kidding. We accept.
If you have any criticism, you can send it to hertime5talk.
Anyway, a whole other email, yeah.
But we're glad you're here. We love to have fun, and this talk session is basically just taking the time to ask questions about things that we enjoyed before we knew each other, like a then and now kind of episode where we're going to be talking about things from before we even met each other and kind of guess if we know our favorite things now, kinda, okay? So let's see where this goes. But we just are really glad you're here with us. Hopefully you'll take some of these ideas and go hang out with your friends and ask them some questions just to get to know them a little better, deepen your relationships. So we're going to start with then and now, okay? And I'm going to ask our worshiper, Rosie, when you were in your 20s or younger, what was your favorite worship song?
Oh, okay. So there's this artist that I love, a Spanish artist. His name is René González. And one of the songs that really impacted my life was En los atrios estoy.
Ooh,
so
sing it.
Yeah. En los atrios estoy, Señor Jesús.
Oh, yeah, now I remember.
He venido ante ti. Yeah. Para ofrecer. Yeah.
Oh, I love your voice. I love your voice.
Can you interpret the lyrics, Rosie?
Can I what?
Interpret the lyrics a little bit.
En los atrios, en los atrios would be like in his presence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in your presence to bring you praise and glory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
then so that was one of my favorite. That was during the time that I had reconciled my life and came back to the Lord, and that song just really ministered to me. So it was one of my favorites.
Yeah. And what's your favorite now?
Oh, so there's quite a few, but I like one of the ones that have really just like I think about is "You Are Worthy of It All." That one, worthy of it all. Yeah, that one. Cece Winan sings it, and she's like my favorite. But it's an older song. I don't know who the writer is, but Cece Winan. Oh, That's an amazing song, worthy
Yeah,
of it all.
send that one to me. Need to
Huh?
add it to my playlist.
Yes, I'll send it to you, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'll send it to you all.
Not that we're not all worshipers, but Rosie's, in the worship team. But Jeanette, what was your favorite worship song when you were a kid?
So I used to love Amy Grant.
Oh, yes.
Who did
And,
it?
oh my goodness. I actually, whenever the first time I ever sang a song like in church, um, I always used to do Amy Grant songs. That was when she was like at the height of,
Yes.
and so like I used to love Angels Watching Over Me. Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
It's not really like
Yes.
a worship song, but you know
Uh-huh.
that one. Oh, El Shaddai. Do you remember El Shaddai?
Oh,
El
Melt to
Shaddai,
that.
El
yes.
Shaddai. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, I used to, yes. I used to love, Amy
Now, that
Grant,
was a beautiful song.
El Shaddai.
There's a lot of memories back. Wow.
Right.
That
You
brings
said
back
Amy
so many
Grant, and I
memories.
thought of Sandy Patty
Oh yes,
right away. Because
Oh.
Via Dolores.
Oh, Lord, our Lord, how majestic is
oh my gosh,
your name.
yes, that one was a popular one too.
Yes.
Right.
We're
Ooh, I'm
telling our
getting
age.
chills over here. I'm feeling the spirit. Like literally, when Rosie started singing, I was like,
Oh, I know. It's her voice. It's that
yes.
voice.
We should have had some background,
Water.
just kind of playing a little bit of the music.
Daisy, you want to share with us?
Well, I honestly don't have a worship song from then because I grew up with hymns. I grew up in the Catholic Church. So there were many hymns that spoke to my soul when I was coming up in my faith. The ones that made you cry, the ones that just kind of put you on your knees. I'm not good at titles. If I start, I have a couple of titles in my head, but if I start with those, it'll be, I forgot this one, I forgot this one, I forgot this one, I forgot this one. So I don't want to get into that. But so are we just past?
No, we're doing, your.
Oh, now,
Now.
my favorite song that just floors me each time is So Will I by Hillsong.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's a great song.
United Hillsong.
Yeah.
And that one, I play new ones, I have them on my playlist and I play them for different occasions or reasons. But whenever I go back to that one, it's just me and Jesus. And yeah. So
My one for now is Goodness of God.
Yes, that's a great one
That
too.
song this year, actually, on my well, we're already in 2022, but in 2021 of my birthday, April, we were in church and they started singing that song and I lost it completely. I mean, I was just in tears because somehow it being on my birthday and singing about the goodness of God and how good he's been to me and just looking, I was just like, oh God, this was like a birthday gift from the Lord to me.
Aww.
I've been so good to you. And it was just like the goodness of all my life you have been faithful. That song.
Your
Yeah.
goodness is running after.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, that has been my song for this year too. And then going back to Daisy, my favorite hymn was Great is Thy Faithfulness.
Oh,
mm,
Oh
Great is
yeah.
thy
Oh, yeah.
faithfulness. Like that, every time I hear it, doesn't matter who sings it, if it's a choir, if I hear it from a hymnal, every once in a while it'll just pop in my head. But I always loved Great is Thy Faithfulness.
Yeah.
when Daisy said hymns, I thought of Oh, the blood of Jesus. But I don't know, is that a hymn? Like it's an old song, but does it come from a hymn?
I think the lyrics are a hymn.
Oh, the blood.
Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of hymns have been transformed or
Remade, yeah.
Yeah.
or how great thou art.
Yes.
Yes,
I have
that
a book
one.
of
Oh,
hymns and I
yes.
go in once in a while just to look at the lyrics. I'm not the singer, but I go in to look at the lyrics. It was a gift when I graduated from seminary and it's beautiful.
Wait, you have a hymn book? You have a hymn?
I have a hymn book.
Ooh, we're gonna have to
Amazing Grace is in there.
Amazing Grace is on
Oh,
there.
I love
I
that.
have one of
Yeah,
the
so
my
there's
number
ones.
ones.
My dad, I found in my dad's office one of the old Spanish hymnals, the AG Spanish hymnals.
Yeah.
So I have one of those.
Yeah.
I feel
Beautiful.
like we need to sing Amazing Grace. No.
We could do a whole episode on just worship music.
Yeah.
Right. We'll do it from our showers because that's where I can sing.
No, I'm not doing anything from my show.
No, thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. Comfort food. What do you remember when you were a kid that, oh my gosh, you used to love to eat? Like, what was that comfort food that either it was something your mom made or your grandma made, or, you know, that you have very fond memories of?
Mine is white rice and a fried egg with runny yolk. Like that was our Friday night kind of thing because my mom, by the end of the week, she didn't want to cook, you know. So she would do the leftover white rice that we had during the week and fry an egg.
That's the best.
It is.
And just put it over. And for me, my brother and I were like, oh my gosh, this is the gourmet meal of the week. So I loved it when I was a kid. I don't touch it now, you know, but
Really? Oh,
I don't because I don't eat white rice.
Mhm.
I've tried it with brown and it's not as mushy.
Not
you
the
know.
same.
Yeah.
So what is your comfort food now?
Now it has to be a pastel. It really does. It just is so wrapped up in so many memories of good feeling and Christmas and family.
Homemade or?
It has homemade.
Oh.
I've learned how to make them now myself, and yeah, they're just my favorite. So
Anyone else?
So I think of my mom would make arroz blanco or arroz con andule with milanesa. So she would bread it milanesa.
Oh, milanesa, yeah.
Yeah, and so that is one meal that it was like the best, right? And still to this day, when she comes into town, it's like that's one of the plates I want her to make.
Mhm.
There's one that I will not eat. We used to eat a lot when we were younger. It's the corned beef with rice. We had it so much when we were younger, corned beef, and I'm just like, no.
Has corned beef.
Corned beef. Oh, and now my comfort food is pan largo, hot with ham and cheese and
Oh yeah.
all the foods that you shouldn't have, but once a week it's nice to have.
Right.
With an egg in it.
Yeah, whenever I go to Rosie's house, it always seems like I have rice with an egg for breakfast.
No.
Or no, because that's what I want. Or whenever there's any like leftover arroz con gandules for some reason, I'll just make it myself and I'll just heat up the arroz con gandules and put on a fried egg because that's
the best.
Because I don't get arroz con gandules out here.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Jeanette, what was
Yeah.
your favorite fictional book when you were a kid?
Oh my goodness. So I think I've said this before somehow, but I really love, it sounds so silly when I think about it. I really love Charlotte's Web.
Why is that silly?
I love that book so
It's a
much.
good book. I remember reading that when I was a kid.
I love that book. And then that was, a little bit younger. And then when I got a little older, and this is not fictional. So, well, I guess, should I stick to fictional then?
Stick to fictional.
Okay. All right.
Because then we'll go into the Bible and
No. Well, I was going to say Diary of Anne Frank, but that is not the,
No, that's a diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let me see. really like, okay, so there was also the book of, oh my Lord, the title just went away. But oh my gosh, the title just went away. Go to somebody else. It's gonna come back to me.
Well, when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I was babysitting this family and I found the book, The Princess Bride. And I'd never heard of the book, didn't, but the kids were asleep. And so I started reading that book and I got hooked, right? And so when the parents came home, I was like, can I borrow this book and read it? And they're like, you can just keep it, like, just keep it. So I read The Princess Bride when I was a kid and fell in love with it. It was even before the movie came out. I loved that movie. I mean, I loved the book. And then when the movie came out, it was even better. And so that was one of my favorite books when I was a kid, was The Princess Bride.
I just thought of all of the Judy Blume books. I
Oh,
used to
of
love
course,
Judy Blume,
yes.
yeah. Judy
Yeah, I
Blume.
used to like skip dinner just to stay in my room and read because I was like, I loved all the Judy Blume books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to also like some of the mystery, what was it, Nancy Drew?
Yes.
Nancy
Mhm.
Drew, yeah. Just like some of those.
Right. Anyone else? Tell me what your favorite book was when you were a kid. Daisy.
I think, all I read when I was really young were fictional books. But it wasn't until I read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. And when I read that book, I think I was just at a stage in my life, adolescence. The main character was a girl, and it was just kind of her life, her day-to-day experiences with people, with adults, with children her age. And it just kind of gave me a different lens or perspective on how children experience life, and how, if I read that book now, and sometimes I get curious about doing that, because my perspective now, I think if I read it now, the lack of food or the lack that was going on in that story, these days would mean something different to me than it did then. And when I was a child, I didn't look at her lack as a negative at all, and today I think I would look at it as a serious human condition issue. And I didn't. So it just gave me a really nice perspective of life, even when not everything's perfect,
Mhm.
So yeah, trees still grow. Yeah, it's cool.
So like Jeanette, I had written down Charlotte Webb because I love that, and I love the movie too. But then I went even back when I was younger, and I thought of Danny the dinosaur. I really loved Danny the dinosaur.
Oh, you went way back, huh?
Yeah, I went way back. But a recent one, not too long, The Shack. That book,
yeah.
That book wrecked me.
Yeah.
it
Wrecked me.
yes.
Again, I'm
That
gonna be
broke
the
me.
oddball.
Huh?
Again, I'm gonna be the oddball and say I could not finish that book. I didn't like it.
Oh,
Sorry.
It's just hard to read, because it's hard.
it's
It
a
was
hard book.
just, I like the whole symbolism of stuff was like, oh, I don't want to think of God that way, or I don't want to think.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to go there. But anyway, it was just, I just couldn't. I was like, okay. And then I put it down and I came back to it like a few months later, and still I was like, nope, still. And I didn't want to watch the movie when it came out.
It's a different perspective.
I'm the oddball. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
We're just a different type of ice cream flavor.
That's all. It's a different perspective. Not everyone's gonna like, the
And
book.
differences make us interesting.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, when I was in Bible school, we read the Screw Tape Letters. And it was a hard book to get through. Like but I was grateful because we had our professor that was reading it with us, right? And so we got through it, and I remember just several things from the book, but I didn't remember like a whole lot of it. And for some reason, I had just been feeling like I needed to read it again. And so I started reading it again, but I had kind of watched a biography of C.S. Lewis, and it just made it so much easier to read it now because I kind of get him, now I kind of understand where he's coming from and, his logic, and it has become, and it's just been recently that I reread it, but I really enjoyed it this past time. It's
Yeah.
crazy how he's so prophetic in so many things that he wrote, back then.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, talk about, I know we already talked about comfort food, but what was a food when you were a kid that you could not stand that you love now? Is there anything?
I could not stand Brussels sprouts, and now I like them. Now I could eat them any which way, raw, cooked, broiled. Yeah, but I hated Brussels sprouts. I was like, but I really like them now.
I still can't. I've tried them any which way, but every which way, and I just can't.
I know this doesn't make them very healthy, but there's a way with maple and bacon,
Ooh.
broiled.
Well, if they have a couple of leaves of the
But mainly all bacon with
but
a,
everything else is maple and bacon. Yeah, maybe.
there's like one Brussels sprout with like a
And the
pound of
rest.
bacon.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's how I'd eat my Brussels sprout.
Loaded up with bacon.
Yeah.
It makes things better. Yeah.
I think for me,
Mine is
veg-
mangoes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Mine
No,
is
no.
mangoes. I could not, and being Puerto Rican, going to Puerto Rico, and all people taught you how to do was to pick mangoes or, throw the stick where they would fall 10 at a time. I had that going, like we would do that when we would go on vacation to PR. And then it was like, but you don't need them. And I said, no, I can't stand them. Ugh, ugh. And now as an adult, it is one of my top favorite
Mhm.
fruits. I love mango.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Josie.
For me, it was vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli. Like I couldn't carrots, but now, I don't eat them as often, or I don't eat it as often as I should, but I really enjoy eating, my vegetables.
Mhm.
This is gonna hurt Jeanette, but when I was a kid, I could not stand avocados. I could not.
Oh, I love avocado.
I couldn't force myself to eat an avocado. I couldn't. I hated them, and maybe it was good because my mom my mom rarely brought them home, but when she did, she was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, But it wasn't until I moved to Chicago that you guys have avocados with everything, and I figured out like how to like eat it, in a better way, and now I love them. So
I can't stand them. And I never have. And I never will. It's one of those things where don't bury me with avocados. Yeah. Because I will get up.
all the avocados to Jeanette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my husband likes avocados. So once in a while, and when my daughter, the one who lives in Tennessee, is visiting, I'll buy an avocado and I'll either make a guac or, just slice it up and put it on a side of a meal. But that's the only time. It's like he needs to get his avocado fix elsewhere, not in my house.
Because I'm not spending money on that stuff.
No.
That's the best.
I just had some with breakfast this morning.
Mm,
They're very healthy, but yeah.
I love them.
mhm.
What did you
Same
want to
here.
be when you grew up? When you were a kid, what did you want to be?
Who are you asking?
Rosie.
Oh, Okay, so when I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. But in my 20s, I was going into criminal justice and I wanted to be in law enforcement. And then I met my husband and he killed my dream. I told him, you're a dream killer. Messing around, right?
Oh, funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wanted to be
Law
in law enforcement. I was going to school for, criminal justice. And then, I met my love and he was like, I don't think that's a good career path for you, knowing how it is, because obviously he's in law enforcement. But yeah, that was my thing. And then I ended up teaching,
Killer.
huh?
Dream killer.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
could
you're such a
totally
dream
see you in a
killer.
uniform with a.
So
I could totally see you as a detective. Like you are like Miss Researchy.
Yeah, it's so funny because yesterday I was talking to a coworker of mine and she's like, we were talking about, careers, and she's like, I could see you in a uniform. I could see you being in law enforcement. And I was like, oh, wow. But then, the Lord opened the door and I ended up, going into teaching, and it's one of my passions. And I love the little ones. I don't think I can see myself teaching, high schoolers, but the little ones is where my heart is at. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Daisy, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a teacher. I used to, when I was little, my parents gave me a blackboard and chalk and eraser. And I used to put it up on, my dad propped it up on the porch, the back porch for me. And I would gather all the kids and I would teach them math and spelling.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a teacher forever. And I think that came from my mom, whose dream had always been to be a teacher. But she never had those opportunities. So I think that, and then when I was in my 20s, and this started in college, I wanted to be a dancer. And so I entered dance contests. I had awards and ribbons and whatever.
What?
Yes.
You gotta show us some moves, Daisy.
I know.
Yes.
I
So I was very good at it.
Come
on. But then the reality hit me when I got older and education became, my focus. And so I still did dancing, like just recreationally, and I was one of those snobs, like when someone would ask me to dance with them and I would see that they weren't, up to par. It was like, let me go sit down.
No.
So yeah, I became one of those things. And then the Lord snatched me.
Yeah, he snatched. I thought you were going to mention that you wanted to be a nun.
No,
That's what
no, that came a lot later for a shorter period of time. That's when my encounter with Jesus happened and all of that. But no, before that, there were other things on my mind. Yeah.
And now what are you?
Well, now I'm a counselor, which is a teacher, and I'm a teacher, which is a teacher. So I'm back to the roots.
Which is a preacher.
And I'm a preacher who's a teacher. Yeah. So I get to teach. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Jeanette.
I wanted to be a dinosaur. No, I'm just kidding. No, I since I was little, I always wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress. I loved performing in any way I could. Or a singer or entertainer in whatever way, any shape or form. And I actually, my mom always reminds me of this. When I was little, I was around 4 or 5, I took a broomstick, a broken broomstick or something. It was at my grandmother's house. And I started singing and putting on a show and like, look at my backup dancers and look at this and whatever. And, I was the only one there. And anyway, I tripped and I hit my mouth with the stick. And anyway, that was traumatic. But I was like, I'm gonna be an actress someday. So anyway, so I'm not an actress, but I do theater, and so that was, I also for a while wanted to be a doctor actually. And then I was like, I am way too, I get way too emotionally like involved. I'd be crying with every single patient.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
especially
reason
if it
why
was
I'm
a
not in the medical field.
especially if it was a child or an elderly person or
Yes.
just someone that was like,
Yeah.
um, couldn't do anything for themselves or something. Oh my gosh, no,
Not me. The reason
Like,
I couldn't be
wonder.
in the medical field is because I couldn't touch other people. Like, although you guys think I have my main love language is physical touch, it is. I just could not imagine like strangers, like having to like see blood, and like I can barely handle my boys and injuries with them. Like, oh no. But so the people in the medical field, I feel, are heroes and are meant to
Yes, they are.
meant to
Yes.
do it,
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. I know it's been fun. But I want each of you to give me the earliest memory of the first scripture verse that you memorized.
I remember mine.
We'll do it.
It was Romans 5:8. But God commanded his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. I remember I was like 8 maybe. And then I was talking to these girls, and it was a ski trip thing that we had done with our church. And we met these girls, and I started witnessing to them. And that was the verse I used. And I felt like, wow, I used the word.
Where did that come from?
To somebody, I remember I felt so like, oh, thank you, God. And after that, like I used to love to do with my friends and all that. I used to love to do debate de texto. Do you remember that? Where
Yes, the debate.
Yeah, and you would just, say verses and stuff like that. I used to love that.
Oh,
So
I
that
never.
was my first verse ever.
Okay. Daisy, what was your first verse?
My first one had to be John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And I think I remember going to like sporting events, baseball mostly. My father was a baseball nut. And I would see people with these signs, John 3:16, and I think that just sparked curiosity. So when I went to catechism classes, I grew up Catholic, and when I went to classes and the nun, asked if we knew any scriptures, that was the one that came to me, and I stood up in the class and I shared that one. Today has to be Isaiah 41:10. It just, it's gotten me through so much of my valley experience, my desert type of experiences. So I want to share it. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. And I always stop there, but it's just God holding my hand through whatever I'm going through. So that has to be mine, is Isaiah 41:10.
Oh, you know what, Jeanette? You didn't tell us what your last verse that you memorized.
I actually am doing a study right now, and the thing is, I don't know if I'll be able to fully, because I can't remember where it's at, but it's the one that says, I will, with all of my heart, soul, strength, like I will love you and I serve you. How is it? I think it's
I will
David.
love the Lord with all my soul, my heart, my strength.
I think it's David in the Psalms, I believe.
Yeah.
It's it's love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength,
That's
mind,
it.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the one I had. Like, I feel like I always knew it, but not, and I obviously don't fully know it right now because I can't quote it completely. But that's the one that was part of my study that I had just been trying to memorize. So I would say that one.
Rosie.
So the first one I learned was God is love. that one. But the first one that came to mind was the same as Daisy, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And that one was one that was, my dad being a pastor, like when we would go out and evangelize, that was the key verse, to use. Now it's 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. And that has gotten me through some difficult moments in my life, reminding me that he has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power. So yes. Yes, that's mine.
There's a little song that my kids used to sing to that.
Oh yeah?
2 Timothy 1:7. Let's what happens? It goes, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. I don't know, something like that. Second
How about
The
yours?
performer that you are.
Yeah. How about you, Regina?
Jazz hands. No, just
Yeah.
How about you, Regina?
So when I was a kid, okay, so yeah, John 3:16 probably was the first, verse I learned, but the one, that one's easy to remember, but the one that came to my mind was I was in missionettes, and
Yes, me too.
the verse we had to learn was whatsoever is
Yes.
True.
whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8.
4:8.
That one
Yes.
always comes to mind as like one of my,
Yes.
that it, like, it's one of those memory verses that, like, I don't know, it's a solid foundation one.
Yeah.
And then with this past year, the Lord really impressed me to try to learn all of Ephesians 3. But the latest verse in that is, now to all glory to him through his mighty power. Through his mighty power in us is able to accomplish infinitely more than we could ask or think.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that,
In
all
one
of
version,
huh?
one of the versions, it's like, because yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but I sometimes will mix up one version with another version, and it's like half of this version and half of that
Yes.
version. But yeah.
Becomes the Jeanette version.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. I love that verse too.
As long as it equals truth, God's
Yes.
truth,
Yes.
we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's that we're out of time, and so I just want to thank each one of you for answering all my questions, and allowing yourself to be open and can get to know each other better. Like I said, for those of you watching, take the time to sit with your friends, get to know them, ask them questions from, before you met them, because you might be surprised. I know I was. I didn't know Daisy was a dancer.
Yeah.
Didn't know Rosie wanted to be in law enforcement.
Yeah. Before
Jose was a
we
dream
started,
killer.
before we started, I was like, we had no life before each other. And then all of a sudden you're saying all these things. I was like, they did have life before me. I didn't know any of this. Like, what's going on?
Now we have to have a dance contest.
Woo!
Next time we get together. All right. Well, I love you, ladies. And till next time, we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Be blessed. Bye.